There's this moment in season 3 of JJK where literally nothing is happening. No fight, no music, no dramatic camera movement, just two characters sitting there talking. And the camera refuses to do anything about it. I remember thinking when I saw this scene, like, why is this scene taking so long? Like, not in a bad way, it was just very noticeably long. Like, honestly, in most shonen, this scene would have been trimmed down to the essentials. Be two characters sitting still, mouse moving to each other occasionally, and getting the information across. JJK does not do that anymore. It lets scenes breathe in a way that almost feels awkward, and makes things unsettling. Like, here's the thing, usually with anime dialogue scenes, they're very cheap. They're static shots, one character talks, and then it cuts to the other character. Maybe a blink, maybe a head tilt, and that's fine, everybody does it. But season 3 of JJK does everything different. I remember this one scene where the guys were sitting there, I think it was Yuji talking to somebody else. They were sitting there and you could hear this phone go off, the clothes were rustling, like everything was different. Mappa like put effort into things that usually animes don't put any effort into. And that really puts JJK season 3 way apart from the first two seasons. Because instead of watching like an anime, like a shonen anime, it feels like you're watching a live action movie. Where you can feel the characters hesitate, you can feel their shifts in weight, everything feels like actually real. Take Yuji's dumbass for a reason. In season 1, Yuji was constantly moving. He was giving big reactions, very clear emotions, and you always knew where his head was at. Now, he's much quieter. He sits still much more often, he listens more than he speaks, and when he does talk, it's a lot shorter and less certain. Like, if you pay enough attention to the production of the show, there are a couple scenes where the camera stays on Yuji after someone finishes talking to him, just long enough for you to notice that he doesn't immediately respond like he used to. And that pause is doing work. Not because Yuji has something clever to say, but because he doesn't have anything to say at all. And the anime doesn't rush to fill the silences anymore. That's the part that does not feel like shonen anime anymore. Shonen usually explains how characters feel. Internal dialogue, flashbacks, music cues. But season 3 of JJK lets Yuji, the main character, just sit there. Uncomfortable, unsure, and a little lost. You're not told what to feel, you're left to notice it. And I'm sure you guys have noticed, but they do the same thing with fights now. They're still animated incredibly well, like way above the standard for anime at the moment. Like, it's clear Mappa has not lost their touch. But the fights don't really feel like rewards anymore. They don't feel like, oh, we made it to the good part. A lot of them just end subtly, messily, without a sense of victory. Sometimes the fights finish and the situation is worse than before. There's no pause, no reflection, the story just keeps on going. And that is not how shonen usually treats combat. Now, I've scrolled Reddit a bit for like the discussions on season 3 of JJK, and I keep seeing people saying how season 3 of JJK just avoids music in general. It's not completely, but it's like very strategic when they use music now. There are a lot of long stretches where you hear the footsteps, fabric moving, breathing, background noise, phones ringing, and in animation, that's a choice. Silence is not free, you just have to decide how to fill it, and Mappa is doing that very well. When animes usually do this, it usually means they want you to pay attention to something small, like how a character avoids eye contact, or how they fidget instead of just standing confidently like they used to. There's a scene early on in the anime where Yuji is talking to Hikari, and Hikari does something very strange socially. It's not dramatic, it's not threatening, it just changes how the dynamic of the conversation goes. It's just off. The scene is when Yuji and Hikari have a conversation, and Hikari's phone starts ringing. Instead of answering like a normal human being would, he just ignores it. And in real life, that kind of behavior immediately makes you uneasy. It's just weird. Yuji does not call it out. No music tells you this is important. And like, this is not something that shonen anime usually put any effort into at all. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when I was watching it, I just noticed that like, the camera placements in this season feel so different. Characters are not centered anymore. Sometimes they're just partially blocked. They're on the side of the camera angle. You don't get that constant sense that the story is wrapping tightly around them. It feels exposed, replaceable. Every character feels replaceable. And that lines up pretty well with how the anime is going so far. I feel like the writing for Yuji has changed as well. He does not feel protected by the entire narrative anymore. In earlier seasons, you could tell the story wanted him to succeed, even when things were dark, like just a normal shonen stereotype. They get into a fight, they start losing, and they get a random power buff. That's what he felt like. Now, it's not so clear. Bad things happen to him, and the show does not justify them, or turn them into growth moments. They just happen, and Yuji has to deal with it. At the core of it, that is not shonen anime. And when you look at all these things and take a step back and look at all of it together, the quiet scenes, the lack of music, the awkward pauses, the fights that don't feel triumphant, it starts to click. This isn't an anime that's trying to hype you up anymore. It's a show that tries to make you feel uneasy, uncomfortable, and unsettled. It honestly feels a lot closer to a slow, grounded drama than a battle shonen. It feels closer to something you watch carefully than something you just binge for dopamine. And for me personally, that's why Season 3 of JJK feels so different. Not because in general it's just darker, not because they let characters die, but because the show has stopped holding your hand. It doesn't explain itself, it doesn't reassure you, it does not promise that things will work out if you just keep watching. And that's a pretty big departure from what shonen anime usually is. So yeah, I can sort of get why people are split on this season. Some miss the energy of the fights, some miss the fun. But others, like me, are locked in more than ever. Like, I literally have been waiting every week for this episode to come out, fiddling my fingers, just sitting on my desk, bro. It's crazy. And that's because Jujutsu Kaisen is not trying to comfort anymore. It's trying to be honest. And whether you like that or not, probably says more about what you want from the genre than whether the anime is actually good or bad. Now, feel free to let me know in the comments if you guys think JJK Akari Shonen, or if it lost something along the way. Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're up to this part in the video, you probably enjoyed the video, and that means a lot. If you could subscribe, that would help me a lot. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Enjoy your evening, and have a great day.